Bienvenue, merci d'être venu pour ce tuto de grammaire. So today, l'impératif, the imperative in English, orders, commands, just do it, that sort of thing. And you can see up the top here, we've got viens, which is come here, come. Prends ton manteau, take your coat. Dépêche-toi, hurry up. And if you learnt French at school, then probably the first thing your French teacher said when you came in the room was asseyez-vous, which is an imperative, which means sit down. Now, what do you notice about all of these? None of them have got a je, tu, il. They haven't got a subject. None of them do. So they never will in the imperative. And they don't in English either. Come on. They don't say you come on. They come on. So it's the same in French. You just say the verb. Let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. So use and formation. So on utilise l'impératif pour donner une instruction, un conseil ou un ordre. So we use it to give an instruction, some advice or an order. So what have we got here? Attachez vos ceintures, fasten your seatbelts. Well, yeah. Mangez des fruits, eat fruit. Ne bougez pas, don't move. All of these are in the vous, aren't they? They're in the vous, because you know that because of the EZ. So you don't need the vous in order to know that these are in the vous form. So the imperative is without a subject. So it's got no je, tu, il, or elle, or anything like that. But you can only use it when you're addressing someone or talking about us. So you can't use it in il form anyway. So it's either going to be used in the you singular, the us, the we nous, and the vous, the you formal or plural. So tu pars, pars. You're going, go. Okay, so the tu pars bit is not the order. The order is here. Tu pars, if you're going, really, go. Yeah, so tu pars, pars. That's the order there. Nous partons, partons. We're going, let's go. Vous partez, partez. You're leaving, go. Leave. Okay, so you can see it. That's the tu form, the nous form, or the vous form. Now, something that confused me for a really long time, writing it down, not saying it, is that for some reason, when you use an ER verb as an order, you don't have an S. So if you're saying look, you really should have an S. If you're je regarde, tu regardes, you know there's an F on there. But if you're using it in the tu form as an order, imperative, then you drop the S, which is not really a big problem because actually you're not, you wouldn't hear it anyway. So regarde, what does that mean? Regarde. It doesn't have to be an order like shaking a finger sort of order. Regarde, look. Yeah. Écoute, listen. Va vite à l'école, go quickly to school. Now, if you have an on pronoun in there, or an e, then it all becomes very z-y. You can see these little z's underneath. And the little s is put in there. So, parlons à Paul. Parlons à Paul. What would that mean? Parlons à Paul. So the s is only added because of the on. It's a stylistic s in there. And let's talk to Paul about it. Parlons à Paul, because the on, for those of you who know about pronouns, the on is of it. So talk to Paul about it. And that S, as is very often the case, sounds quite Z-y. So parlons à Paul. Pensez, pensez. Any idea what that might mean? Pensez. Think about it. That's what it means. Think about it. Pensez. And you probably know this one, don't you? Vas-y. Vas-y, which is go on, you'll go, after you. That sort of meaning. Do you know what the vous form of this is? Because it's a very, very common phrase that we hear. The vous is allez-y, allez-y, which is what you say in the polite situation, you know, after you, you'll go, that sort of thing. And of course, you know the new form, I'm sure, which is allons-y, let's go, let's go. Now, we've got some irregularities. How strange for French. Okay, so être, avoir, these are such irregular verbs anyway, aren't they? Savoir and vouloir have got these imperatives which are irregular, so they don't follow the rules that we've just looked at. But the good news is, and you can look these up in your Becherel, there is a separate section that says, a category that says imperatif, and you can actually look it up for each verb if you want to. It'll be there on the page. So, sois tranquille, and sois means be, because that comes from être. So be calm. Soyons prudents, so we know from the ONS that we're talking about we. So let's be careful. It's got a kind of let's feel to it, okay? And soyez heureux, be happy to a vous in a vous situation. Now, for those of you who know about the subjunctive, you might say, oh, hold on, I've seen those before. And the great thing is that they are the same as the subjunctive. They're not subjunctive, but they're the same. So that's great because you can reuse something that you've learned somewhere else here. Or you can remember them from here and use them in the subjunctive one way or the other. Same goes for avoir. So aie confiance, so have confidence. Ayons du courage, let's have some courage. Ayez l'obligeance, have some obligeance. And then we've got savoir here. Sache que je suis là. Sache que je suis là. Know that I am there. Know that I am here. So if you are unfamiliar with these sounds or these words, first of all, you can look them up in your Becherel and you'll see them under imperatif. And then if you just go up the page a little bit and look under subjunctif, which you may not have come across yet, you will also see them, those same words there. So you know that it's worth investing in these because you're going to use them in several different places. Sachons répondre, know how to answer. And sachez accepter, know how to accept. Savoir is know how. Now this is a funny one because vouloir changes completely here. And this very, very polite, this as well, actually. So, veuillez patienter. Veuillez insérer votre carte. So, please, it really means please be patient. Would you like to be patient? Would you like to insert your card? If you've ever used a cash point in France, you've seen this phrase. Quite often, if you see an official communication, whether it's on a poster or, you know, a sign or a letter, you'll see veuillez being used because it's used in extremely polite situations. Right, well, we want to develop it a little bit further. We say, well, where do pronouns sit with this? And they just come straight after. So let's have a look. So in the affirmative, the pronouns just come straight after the verb. So what would that mean? Écoute-le. Écoute-le. What would that mean? Listen to him or listen to it. Depends on what the reference is to. Écoute-les. Listen to them. Téléphone-lui. Call him. Téléphone-leur. Call them. We've already seen this one before. Allons-y, let's go. And then prends-en, take some. Prends-en is, yeah, help yourself, take some. When you're using imperatives, you don't use me and te anymore. You use moi and toi instead. So téléphone or lui or leur. So téléphone-moi. You wouldn't say me téléphone because we're going to put it afterwards. And so we use moi, toi, and vous afterwards. So téléphone-moi. Asseyez-vous. In that French class at school, you would have had that as well. Dépêchez-vous. Hurry up. It comes afterwards. Lève-toi. Dépêche-toi. Now, these are actually reflexive verbs. So these two are. So soulever would then become lève-toi. So je me lève, or tu te lèves in a reflexive. We wanted to turn that into an obligation, into an order, an imperative. You turn that into lève-toi. And se dépêcher, to rush. So tu te dépêches, you rush yourself. Turning that into an imperative becomes dépêche-toi, rush yourself, if you like. Okay, but in the negative form, the pronouns will go in front of the verb without changing any, no need to go to the tonics here, which is what these are called. So, don't call me, ne me téléphone pas. Ne te lève pas. Ne t'inquiète pas. And this last one is always brought down to, in French nowadays, to t'inquiète. They don't even bother with the ne or the pas now. It's just t'inquiète, which means don't worry. So one of the most important things to remember about impératif. Let's just go back up to the top here. So the main things to remember are that you're never going to have a je or tu or anything like that in there, because you don't need it in the same way that you don't in English. The next thing to remember is that the only times you can use imperative is when you're talking to yourselves or talking to someone else. So it only works in the tu, nous, or vous situation anyway. The third thing to remember is that you don't have an S on the end of your verbs, even though you would have in a normal state. But that's a spelling thing, so I won't worry about it. Fourth thing to remember is that we can add an S in if we've got a pronoun. It sounds like so much when you say it like this, but it's not that hard actually. And then the fifth thing that we want to remember is that there are some irregular verbs and they sound a little bit different. You can look those up in your Becherel and they're going to be the same as subjunctive. So if you know subjunctive, then you'll be reusing something from there as well. Good, I hope you've enjoyed this little visit to l'impératif. Take away what some key elements of that. You don't have to remember it all. It's not probably the last time we'll have a look at it anyway. Bon, bah, merci beaucoup et soyez sage, which is be good. Au revoir, merci.